Okay, today is the 5th of September 2010, and this is the 47th time we are speaking on the Majjhima Nikaya Suttas. Today we come to Sutta 116, Isigili Sutta, the Gullet of the Seers. Isi, I think in Sanskrit would be Rishi, seers or ascetics. And a gullet basically is the throat, or that part between the throat and the stomach. That's called the esophagus. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Rajagaha at Isigili, the Gullet of the Seers. There he addressed the monks thus, "Monks, Venerable Sir," they replied. The Blessed One said, "You see, monks, do you not, that mountain Vihara?" "Yes, Venerable Sir." "There used to be another name, another designation for that mountain Vihara." "You see, monks, do you not, that mountain Pandava?" "Yes, Venerable Sir." "There used to be another name, another designation for that mountain Pandava." "You see, monks, do you not, that mountain Vipula?" "Yes, Venerable Sir." "There used to be another name, another designation for that mountain Vipula." "You see, monks, do you not, that mountain Gijakuta, Vulture Peak?" "Yes, Venerable Sir." "There used to be another name, another designation for that mountain Gijakuta, Vulture Peak." "You see, monks, do you not, that mountain Isigili, the Gullet of the Seers?" "Yes, Venerable Sir." "There used to be this same name, this same designation for this mountain Isigili, the Gullet of the Seers. For in former times, 500 Pacceka Buddhas dwelt long on this mountain, the Gullet of the Seers. They were seen entering into this hill. Once gone in, they were no longer seen. People who saw this said, 'This mountain swallows up these seers.' And so it was that this came to be named the Gullet of the Seers." I'll stop here for a moment. So you can see from this sutta that Rajagaha is surrounded by a few mountains. And out of these mountains, there is one, this Isigili, where the Buddha said the name has remained the same. And because at one time 500 Pacceka Buddhas used to live on this mountain, and they would come down for their alms round, and after their alms round they go up the hill to meditate, and they are not seen again. They probably go into caves, go into ravines and secluded places where people cannot see them. So you see here, at any one time, like on this hill, you can find even 500 Pacceka Buddhas. But to find a Sammasambuddha is extremely hard, because most of the Buddhas, after they become enlightened, they don't want to teach. That's the difference between a Pacceka Buddha and a Sammasambuddha. And the Buddha said, one night he sat looking into the past, probably the whole night he didn't sleep. And he said he looked into the past for 91 world cycles. The Buddha says one world cycle is so long, it's hard to imagine how long it is. So 91 world cycles is such a long time. He must have spent the whole night looking into the past. And the Buddha said he only saw 6 Sammasambuddhas. Only 6 Buddhas are willing to teach the Dhamma in 91 world cycles. But in 91 world cycles, you can expect many thousands of Buddhas. In other words, 99.99% of Buddhas are Pacceka Buddhas. It's very, very rare to find a Sammasambuddha. "I shall tell you, monks, the names of the Pacceka Buddhas. I shall relate to you the names of the Pacceka Buddhas. I shall teach you the names of the Pacceka Buddhas." Just in passing, I'd just like to remark that in the Mahayana tradition, in the later books, they say they are all practicing the Bodhisattva path that ends up in Buddhahood. They say they want to become Buddhas and teach living beings. So you can see from here, by the time they actually become a Buddha, they refuse to teach. They become Pacceka Buddhas. Pacceka Buddhas can also be said to be solitary Buddhas. So the Buddha said, listen, attend closely to what I shall say. Yes, Venerable Sir, the monks replied. The Blessed One said, monks, the Pacceka Buddha Arita dwelt long on this mountain Isigili. The Pacceka Buddha Uparita dwelt long on this mountain Isigili. The Pacceka Buddha Tagrasikin, Yasasin, Sudassana, Piyadasin, Gandhara, Pindola, Upasaba, Nitta, Tata, Sutava, Bhavitata dwelt long on this mountain Isigili. These saintly beings, desireless, rid of suffering, who each achieve awakening by himself. Hear me relate the names of these, the greatest of men, who have plucked out the dart of pain. I'll stop here for a moment. So you see, this second line, these saintly beings, desireless, rid of suffering, who each achieve awakening by himself. That's a difference between a Buddha and a Arahant disciple. A Buddha is most likely a past life Sakadagamin, a person who has attained the second fruition in a previous life, so that when he comes back, the last time he has to become enlightened. So he'll struggle very hard by himself until he becomes enlightened. So Buddhas enlightened by themselves in their last life. Hear me relate the names of these, the greatest of men, who have plucked out the dart of pain. Arita, Uparita, Tagrasikin, Yasasin, Sudassana, and Piyadasin, the enlightened. Gandhara, Pindola, Upasaba as well. Nitta, Tata, Sutava, Bhavitata, Sumba, Suba, Metula, and Atama. Then Asumega, Aniga, Sudatta, and Hingu and Hinga, the greatly powerful. Pacceka Buddhas no more led to being. Two sages named Jali and Ataka, then Kosala the enlightened, then Subahu, Upanemi and Nemi, and Santachitta, right and true, immaculate and wise. Kala, Upakala, Vijita and Jita, Anga and Panga, and Kutijita too. Pasin conquered attachment, the root of suffering. Aparajita conquered Mara's power. Satta, Pavata, Sarabanga, Lomahangsa, Uchangamaya, Asita, Anasava, Manomaya, and Banduman, the free from pride. Tadadi Mutta, stainless and resplendent. Ketumbaraga, Matanga, and Arya. Then Achuta Gama, Biamaka, Sumangala, Dabila, Supatitita, Aseha, Kema, Birata, and Sorata, Duran Maya, Sangha, and then Ujjaya. Another sage, Seha, of noble endeavor, and 12 between, Anandas, Nandas, and Upanandas, and Bharadvaja bearing his last body, then Bodhi, Mahanama the supreme, Bharadvaja the fair-crested mane, Tissa and Upatissa, not bound to being, Upasidarin and Sidarin, free from craving. Enlightened was Mangala, free from lust. Usaba cut the net, the root of suffering. Upanita attained the state of peace, purified, excellent, truly named. Jeta, Jayanta, Paduma, and Upala, Padumuttara, Rakita, and Pabata, Manat, Tada, glorious, Vitaraga, and Kanha, enlightened with mind released. These and also other great and mighty Pacceka Buddhas no more led to being. Honor these sages who, transcending craving, have attained final Nibbana, past all measure. That's the end of the sutta. This last one mentioned this Kanha. Kanha means the black. It's probably, don't know whether it's Kanha means black. In the Vinaya books, there's a mention about a rishi called Kanha. So the other day we read about the black seer, and I mentioned Kanha. Actually, later I found his name is actually Asita. Asita also means black, and this Kanha also means black. So this sutta is interesting because it shows that at one time you can find so many Pacceka Buddhas, even 500 on one mountain. But to find a Pacceka Buddha, it takes so many world cycles before you can meet a Sammasambuddha who's willing to teach the Dhamma. So from here you find these Mahayanis making the vow to become a Buddha, to teach beings. It's useless in the end when they become enlightened. They just don't want to teach. Okay, now we come to Sutta 117, Mahachatta Risaka Sutta, the Great 40. This is a very important sutta. When I say important sutta, I mean it has a lot of good Dhamma in it. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anathapindika's park. There he addressed the monks thus, "Monks, noble sir," they replied. The Blessed One said this, "Monks, I shall teach you noble right concentration or Aryan right concentration with its supports and its requisites. Listen and attend closely to what I shall say." "Yes, noble sir," the monks replied. The Blessed One said, "What, monks, is noble right concentration with its supports and its requisites?" That is, right view, right thoughts, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, and right mindfulness or recollection. Unification of mind equipped with these 7 factors is called noble right concentration with its supports and its requisites. I'll stop here for a moment. We know from the Noble Eightfold Path, the last factor is right concentration. And right concentration is defined as the 4 jhanas, 4 rupa jhanas. So these 4 rupa jhanas are found in Buddhism and also found in external ascetics who practice meditation. But the Buddha says Aryan right concentration must be supported by the other 7 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. So the 8th factor, right concentration, supported by 7 factors, the other 7 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path will bring you to liberation. That's why noble or Aryan right concentration is the 4 jhanas supported by all the other factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. Unification of mind here, sometimes it's called one-pointedness of mind. You can see it's the 4 jhanas. Jhana number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. There is one sutta in the Samyutta Nikaya, I think, where the Buddha talked about one-pointedness of mind, just like here. And then he defines the one-pointedness of mind as the 4 jhanas. So, noble right concentration or Aryan right concentration is the 4 jhanas supported by the other factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. Therein, monks, right view comes first. And how does right view come first? One understands wrong view as wrong view and right view as right view. This is one's right view. And what, monks, is wrong view? There is nothing given, nothing offered, nothing sacrificed, no fruit or result of good and bad actions, no this world, no other world, no mother, no father, no beings who are reborn spontaneously, no good and virtuous recluses and Brahmins in the world, who have realized for themselves by direct knowledge and declare this world and the other world. This is wrong view. And what, monks, is right view? Right view, I say, is twofold. There is right view that is affected by taints, partaking of merit, ripening on the side of attachment. And there is right view that is noble, taintless, supramundane, affecter of the path. And what monks is right view that is affected by the taints, partaking of merit, ripening on the side of attachment. There is what is given and what is offered, and what is sacrificed. There is fruit and result of good and bad actions. There is this world and the other world. There is mother and father. There are beings who are reborn spontaneously. There are in the world good and virtuous recluses and Brahmins who have realized for themselves by direct knowledge and declare this world and the other world. This is right view affected by taints, partaking of merit, ripening on the side of attachment. And what monks is right view that is noble, Aryan, taintless, supramundane, a factor of the path. The wisdom, the faculty of wisdom, the power of wisdom, the investigation of Dhamma, enlightenment factor, the path factor of right view in one whose mind is noble, whose mind is taintless, who possesses the noble path and is developing the noble path. This is right view that is noble, taintless, supramundane, a factor of the path. One makes an effort to abandon wrong view and to enter upon right view. This is one's right effort. Mindfully one abandons wrong view. Mindfully one enters upon and abides in right view. This is one's right mindfulness. Thus these three states run and circle around right view. That is, right view, right effort, and right mindfulness. I'll stop here for a moment. So you see, wrong view refers to basically three things. Not believing in karma vipaka, not believing that there is a result of good and bad actions, and not believing that there is other planes of rebirth, no other world. And thirdly, not believing that there are holy men who have attained enlightenment, understood this world. So this is wrong view. And right view, there are two types of right view. One is worldly right view, and one is Aryan right view. Worldly right view basically is the opposite of wrong view. Worldly right view, Lokya Samaditi. Samaditi is right view, Lokya is worldly. So worldly right view is basically understanding that there is a result of good and bad deeds or actions, that there are other worlds of rebirth, and that there are holy men who have understood this world. And then Aryan right view, which is a factor of the Noble Eightfold Path, is the wisdom, the investigation of Dhamma, enlightenment factor. You see, before you can investigate the Dhamma, you must have heard the Dhamma, you must know the Dhamma. Know the Dhamma, then only you can investigate. So one who has right view knows the Dhamma, who possesses the noble path. One who has right view has entered on the noble path, the first factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. In the Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 43, it is mentioned that the purpose of wisdom is three things I mentioned before. One is seeing clearly things as they really are. Number two is understanding as a result of that. And the third, as a result of understanding, letting go of our attachments. When you understand that your craving, your attachments give you suffering, then you start to let go. So a person who has wisdom, who has attained right view, he begins to let go of his craving. He changes his character, investigates the Dhamma, and he's entered the Noble Eightfold Path. So here it says, mindfully one abandons wrong view. Mindfully one enters upon and abides in right view. And one makes an effort to abandon wrong view. Therein monks, right view comes first. And how does right view come first? One understands wrong thoughts as wrong thoughts and right thoughts as right thoughts. This is one's right view. And what monks is wrong thoughts? The thought of sensual desire, the thought of ill will, and the thought of cruelty. This is wrong thought. And what monks is right thoughts? Right thought, I say, is twofold. There is right thought that is affected by taints, partaking of merit, ripening on the side of attachment. And there is right thought that is noble, taintless, supramundane, a factor of the path. And what monks is right thought that is affected by taints, partaking of merit, ripening on the side of attachment, the thought of renunciation, the thought of non-ill will, and the thought of non-cruelty. This is right thought that is affected by taints, ripening on the side of attachment. And what monks is right thought that is noble, taintless, supramundane, a factor of the path. The thinking, the thought, the intention, the mental absorption, the mental fixity, directing of mind, verbal volition in one whose mind is noble, whose mind is taintless, who possesses the noble path and is developing the noble path. This is right thought that is noble. One makes an effort to abandon wrong thought and to enter upon right thought. This is one's right effort. Mindfully one abandons wrong thought. Mindfully one enters upon and abides in right thought. This is one's right mindfulness. Thus these three states run and circle around right thought. That is, right view, right effort, and right mindfulness. So, right thought is the thought of renunciation, letting go of sensual desire, and the thought of non-ill will, letting go of ill will, and the thought of non-cruelty. So this is right thought, but you have worldly right thought now, which means the right thought of an ordinary person, a putujana, a worldling. And you have noble right thought, that is the right thought of an Aryan. You see here in the description, the thinking, thought, intention, mental absorption, mental fixity, directing of mind, verbal volition in one whose mind is noble. This verbal volition refers to volition is the, you can say, intention. So when you have verbal volition, you have the intention to speak. So this refers to vitaka and vichara, thought directed and sustained. Before you can break out into speech, you must have thought directed and sustained. You direct your thought to what you want to say, and then you sustain your thought. Then only you can break out into speech. So this verbal volition refers to vitaka and vichara, thought directed and sustained. Therein, monks, right view comes first. And how does right view come first? One understands wrong view as wrong. Right view comes. And how does right view come first? One understands wrong speech as wrong speech, and right speech as right speech. This is one's right view. And what monks is wrong speech? False speech, malicious speech, harsh speech, and gossip. This is wrong speech. Stop here for a moment. This wrong speech, we already saw the description of it in the previous sutta, number 114. It was, the details are given there. And what monks is right speech? Right speech, I say, is twofold. There is right speech that is affected by taints, partaking of merit, ripening on the side of attachment. And there is right speech that is noble, taintless, supramundane, a factor of the path. And what monks is right speech that is affected by taints, partaking of merit, ripening on the side of attachment. Abstinence from false speech, abstinence from malicious speech, abstinence from harsh speech, abstinence from gossip. This is right speech that is affected by the taints, ripening on the side of attachment. And what monks is right speech that is noble, taintless, supramundane, a factor of the path. The desisting from the four kinds of verbal misconduct, the abstaining, refraining, abstinence from them in one whose mind is noble, whose mind is Aryan, whose mind is taintless, who possesses the noble path and is developing the noble path. This is right speech that is noble, a factor of the path. One makes an effort to abandon wrong speech and to enter upon right speech. This is one's right effort. Mindfully one abandons wrong speech. Mindfully one enters upon and abides in right speech. This is one's right mindfulness. Thus these three states run and circle around right speech, that is, right view, right effort, and right mindfulness. Stop here for a moment. So before you can have right speech, as before, you must have right view first. Only when you have right view, then it's followed by right thoughts and right speech. So here, as before, the right speech, there are two types. One is worldly right speech, that means right speech of ordinary worldling, a putujana, and Aryan right speech, which is right speech of an Aryan, a noble disciple. Therein, monks, right view comes first. And how does right view come first? One understands wrong action as wrong action and right action as right action. This is one's right view. And what monks is wrong action? Killing living beings, taking what is not given, and misconduct in sensual pleasures. This is wrong action. Let's stop here for a moment. These three types of wrong action are also described in detail in the previous sutta, Majjhima Nikaya 114. And what monks is right action? Right action, I say, is twofold. There is right action that is affected by taints, partaking of merit, ripening on the side of attachment, and there is right action that is noble, taintless, supramundane, affecter of the path. And what monks is right action that is affected by taints, partaking of merit, ripening on the side of attachment, abstinence from killing living beings, abstinence from taking what is not given, abstinence from misconduct in sensual pleasures. This is right action that is affected by taints and ripening on the side of attachment. And what monks is right action that is noble, taintless, supramundane, affecter of the path, the desisting from the three kinds of bodily misconduct, the abstaining, refraining, abstinence from them, in one whose mind is noble, whose mind is taintless, who possesses the noble path and is developing the noble path. This is right action that is noble, affecter of the path. One makes an effort to abandon wrong action and to enter upon right action. This is one's right effort. Mindfully one abandons wrong action. Mindfully one enters upon right action. This is one's right mindfulness. Thus these three states run and circle around right action, that is, right view, right effort, and right mindfulness. Similarly, right action, there are two types. One is the right action of an ordinary worldling, and the other is the right action of an Aryan. Therein, monks, right view comes first. And how does right view come first? One understands wrong livelihood as wrong livelihood, and right livelihood as right livelihood. This is one's right view. And what monks is wrong livelihood? Scheming, talking, hinting, belittling, pursuing gain with gain. This is wrong livelihood. Stop here for a moment. This description is more for monks, referring to monks. Scheming refers to like a monk scheming to get more offerings, to get more worldly gains, and to get more fame, to become more famous and all that. And talking is like talking about your achievements, talking about the achievements of your companions in the holy life. Even talking about the achievements of your brother monks also is not allowed in the Vinaya, or your teacher and all that. Because indirectly, when you say that your companions and all that are Aryans and all that, you also imply that you are in the same category. Hinting of your attainments, and belittling other monks, putting down other monks. Pursuing gain with gain is like giving things to lay people, hoping that they'll give you more in return. So this is just the gist of it, but there is a longer list in for example, the Digha Nikaya. The Digha Nikaya, as mentioned, wrong livelihood for a monk would be like fortune telling, geomancy, acting like a shaman, acting like a doctor for lay people, and all these things. There's a long list in the Digha Nikaya. If you're interested, can refer to it. For lay people, basically, a wrong livelihood means not to get your livelihood in a wrong way. So for lay people, it's like earning a livelihood, and in the process you harm others, you harm others, and you also when you harm others you also harm yourself. So in the Buddha's teachings there are 5 traits, 5 business that lay people should not engage in, should not trade in. The first one is not to trade in humans, slavery, which is still being done illegally. And another one is not to trade in, buy and sell weapons, guns and all that kill. Not to trade in poisons, for example, insecticide, herbicides that kill. And then another one, not to trade in intoxicants, drugs and liquor and all that. And then the 5th is not to rear animals for slaughter, for example, rearing chickens or pigs and all that. You sell to the market for slaughter. So these are the 5 types of trade a lay person is not allowed to, not allowed by the Dhamma Vinaya in the Buddha's teachings. And what monks is right livelihood? Right livelihood, I say, is twofold. There is right livelihood that is affected by taints, partaking of merit, ripening on the side of attachment, and there is right livelihood that is noble, taintless, supramundane, affecter of the path. And what monks is right livelihood that is affected by taints, partaking of merit, ripening on the side of attachment. Here monks, a noble disciple abandons wrong livelihood and gains his living by right livelihood. This is right livelihood that is affected by taints, ripening on the side of attachment. And what monks is right livelihood that is noble, taintless, supramundane, affecter of the path, the desisting from wrong livelihood, the abstaining, refraining, abstinence from it, in one whose mind is noble, whose mind is taintless, who possesses the noble path and is developing the noble path. This is right livelihood that is noble, a factor of the path. One makes an effort to abandon wrong livelihood and to enter upon right livelihood. This is one's right effort. Mindfully one abandons wrong livelihood. Mindfully one enters upon right livelihood. This is one's right mindfulness. Thus these 3 states run and circle around right livelihood. That is, right view, right effort, and right mindfulness. Okay. Therein, monks, right view comes first. And how does right view come first? In one of right view, right thoughts comes into being. In one of right thoughts, right speech comes into being. In one of right speech, right action comes into being. In one of right action, right livelihood comes into being. In one of right livelihood, right effort comes into being. In one of right effort, right mindfulness or right recollection comes into being. In one of right mindfulness or right recollection, right concentration comes into being. In one of right concentration, right knowledge comes into being. In one of right knowledge, right liberation comes into being. Thus, monks, the path of the disciple in higher training possesses 8 factors. The Arahant possesses 10 factors. I'll stop here for a moment now. So here you see, in the practice of the Noble Eightfold Path, this is a very important paragraph. The Buddha says, to practice the Noble Eightfold Path, you must start with right view. You see the preceding paragraphs, the Buddha said several times, right view comes first. So, if you don't attain right view, you have not entered upon the Noble Eightfold Path. So, however long you practice, it's no point. You're wasting your time. You're practicing the wrong way. You don't have your priorities right. So, it's very important. Anybody who wants to go into the Noble Eightfold Path, you must get right view first. Only when you get right view, you have entered the stream. If you have not entered the stream, you have not learned enough Dhamma, you meditate until doomsday, also no use. So here that's why I say this sutta is very important. Only when you get right view, then only you can get right thoughts. And then you can get right speech. Because right speech depends on right thoughts. Before you can speak, you must think first. And then from there you get right action. Because if you have right view, then only you know how to write, to act in a right way. So Right view brings along also right action, and because of right speech and right action, you have right livelihood. You understand the Dhamma, you have right view, then only you know how to earn your livelihood in the right way. Then after that, you have right effort. Right effort basically is to get rid of unwholesome states and to develop wholesome states of mind. And then right effort will bring you to right mindfulness. Here this right mindfulness is not general mindfulness. You have to be very careful. This word mindfulness is a translation of sati. Sati, the better translation, is recollection. Why recollection? Because you are supposed to recollect 4 things. In other words, it is not general mindfulness, but a very specific mindfulness. Only mindful of 4 things only: your body, your feelings, your mind, and the Buddha's Dhamma, the Buddha's teachings. So only mindful of 4 things. A lot of people, when they see this word right mindfulness, they think it's general mindfulness. Oh, I walk, I must be careful of my leg go up, stretch my leg, go down. All this, this is not sati. Sati is only mindful of these 4 things. That mindfulness, the general mindfulness, is sampajanya, a different word. Sampajanya is important, but not as important as sati. Sampajanya is not a factor of the Noble Eightfold Path, but sati is a factor of the Noble Eightfold Path. And out of these 4 objects of sati, just now I mentioned, the most important is the last one, the Buddha's Dhamma. The Dhamma. Without a good understanding of the Dhamma, you can never attain the various stages of Aryahood. So this is right mindfulness, refers to specific mindfulness. And then if you practice right mindfulness, is samma sati. But to attain samma samadhi, you have to not, instead of just practicing samasati, you have to practice satipatthana. Satipatthana is an intense state of recollection. You could recollect one object without your attention diverted elsewhere. Just mindful of one object all the time. Then it turns into samma samadhi, right? Concentration, unification of mind, one-pointedness of mind. So these are the 8 factors of an Aryan in higher training. What is known as a Seka. Seka is a disciple who still has work to do. Aryan disciple who still has work to do. Aseka refers to the Arahant. So the Seka refers to the first part, first fruit, second part, second fruit, third part, third fruit, and fourth part. The Aseka, the one who has no more to learn, no more to train, is the Arahant, the fourth path, fruit attainer. And the fourth fruit attainer, the liberated person, possesses 2 more factors. Here it says right knowledge and right liberation. Right knowledge and right liberation. So the Arahant possesses 10 factors, whereas the Aryan disciple in training possesses 8 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. So this paragraph is extremely important. The 8 factors of the Noble Eightfold Path have to be acquired in this order, starting with right view. Therein, monks, right view comes first. And how does right view come first? In one of right view, wrong view is abolished, and the many evil, unwholesome states that originate with wrong view as condition are also abolished, and the many wholesome states that originate with right view as condition come to fulfillment by development. In one of right thoughts, wrong thought is abolished, and the many evil, unwholesome states that originate with wrong thought as condition are also abolished, and the many wholesome states that originate with right thought as condition come to fulfillment by development. In one of right speech, wrong speech is abolished. Similarly, in one of right action, wrong action is abolished. In one of right livelihood, wrong livelihood is abolished. In one of right effort, wrong effort is abolished. In one of right mindfulness, wrong mindfulness is abolished. In one of right concentration, wrong concentration is abolished. In one of right knowledge, wrong knowledge is abolished. In one of right liberation, wrong liberation is abolished. And the many evil, unwholesome states that originate with wrong liberation as condition are also abolished, and the many wholesome states that originate with right liberation as condition come to fulfillment by development. Thus, monks, there are 20 factors on the side of the wholesome and 20 factors on the side of the unwholesome. This Dhamma discourse on the great 40 has been set rolling and cannot be stopped by any recluse or Brahmin or God or Mara or Brahma or anyone in the world. Let's stop here for a moment. So, the wholesome, in one of right, for example, right speech, wrong speech is abolished. In one of right action, 20 factors on the side of. So, how do you get 20 factors? Yeah, 10. Oh.
Is the 8, and then the right knowledge and right deliverance.
Yeah.
The wrong deliverance and the wrong knowledge.
Oh. 20 factors on the side of the wholesome. Wholesome is the right one.
Oh, 20.
And 20 factors on the side of the unwholesome. Oh, one is, one is Lokya, one is Lokuttara. So the wholesome, you have the wholesome, worldly wholesome and the Aryan wholesome factor. And similarly with the unwholesome. But the unwholesome, how can you have 20?
Well, it's just the opposite of the wholesome.
But when you talk about Arya, the Arya has no unwholesome. Let me see, 1113. The 20 factors on the wholesome side are the 10 right factors and the wholesome states that originate, and the wholesome state that originate from each. The 20 factors on the unwholesome side are the 10 wrong factors and the unwholesome states that originate from each. Hence the name, the Great 40. Okay, that's on note 1113. Okay, monks, if any recluse or Brahmin thinks that this Dhamma discourse on the Great 40 should be censured and rejected, then there are 10 legitimate deductions from his assertions that would provide grounds for censuring him here and now. If that worthy one censures right view, then he would honor and praise those recluses and Brahmins who are of wrong view. If that worthy one censures right thought, then he would honor and praise those recluses and Brahmins who are of wrong thoughts. If that worthy one censures right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration, right knowledge, right deliverance, then he would honor and praise those recluses and Brahmins who are of wrong liberation. If any recluse or Brahmin thinks that this Dhamma discourse on the Great 40 should be censured and rejected, then these are 10 legitimate deductions from his assertions that would provide grounds for censuring him here and now. Monks, even those teachers from Okala, Vassa and Banya who held the doctrine of non-causality, the doctrine of non-doing, and the doctrine of nihilism would not think that this Dhamma discourse on the Great 40 should be censured and rejected. Why is that? For fear of blame, attack and confutation. That is what the Blessed One said. The monks were satisfied and delighted in the Blessed One's words. That's the end of the sutta.
Basically, but I don't have a version. I just want to reiterate something that from the Wisdom and for term impatience. It says that you need the right view, but it comes to fulfillment by development. That's a very important point that I think just, maybe overlooked a little bit too much. And what they
Can you, which paragraph is that?
All of them.
Oh.
Okay, page 929, you can look at number 35, the first paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
So it's saying, like the last line,
Yeah.
it says, right Buddhist condition comes fulfillment by development.
Yeah.
And it says that in all of the views, like to get all of the views, they come to fulfillment by development. That's a very important thing that I think should be
Yes.
that I should focus on and other people should be aware of, that you need to develop it and just don't snap.
Right.
Just a little observation.
That's why we have to be very patient. Don't be impatient for results. We have to develop it long enough.
Find it very difficult to uphold our precepts while working in the financial sector, because it does involve giving, talking, thinking, listening, pursuing that. You will have to see if you want to take more money. Sometimes you just like to do things, and then like thinking, and we are very used to it, because some people, when you give them presents, if they like something, they will give it, or the customers will do it. So sometimes they play with different things. So we know that they're being greedy. But even in our normal day-to-day life, we do have friends, sometimes we give them little things, they will give little things. This is very good. It's thinking to us that they want more and we will buy themselves. So, as Buddhists, we find it difficult to accept because we don't want to do that ourselves. And the other thing is like, belittling, like we competitors, we always belittle the competitors, that they are more good, they are better, and we will find ways to convince the customer that our product is better. But sometimes the product might be better, we still find ways to belittle the competitor's product.
Yes.
And the other thing is something that some Dhamma centers, like even we are doing 8 precepts here, they have rules that we have to observe, that we are not supposed to ask devotees to come to the center to hint to them that this is very good, why don't you also make this, but we do not spell it out so clearly. Some we are not supposed to ask people to buy things for us unless we want to.
Say that again, please.
Certain Dhamma centers like Thailand and Sri Lanka, yogis were staying in the Dhamma center are not allowed to request things from supporters of the temple unless they are related. So this was pointed out by one month before, that this is that is not in our temple.
But in the Vinaya, if a lay person gives a pavarana, invitation to any monk, then he is allowed to ask, but not if he does not give an invitation.
We are free usually to think to people that to offer more of this, very good, and very nice, or monks like this. I mean, we are not supposed to do that in some temples. to buy things unless they ask us whether there are any requisites that they can offer to the monks.
It depends whether what they say is offensive to that person. There are some people they want to know. So if they are told, they appreciate it. But not if they don't appreciate it, then they should not say such things. So we have to look at that person. There are some people they want to know, then you can tell them. But if they don't give any indication that they want to know, then it's not proper to speak.
Just looking back at the previous Sutta, Isigili, all the particular Buddhas that were stated there, the names stated by Buddha. Now, why is it that some of them are being praised, like some are greatly powerful, some have described the conduit of being, another one is said right and full, immaculate in lives, another one they will say about Aparajita, conquer Mara's powers. I would have thought once you become a Buddha, you would have acquired all those qualities, isn't it?
No, but even among Buddhas and Arahants, there are some outstanding in certain qualities. So that's why the Buddha mentioned. For example, of the 6 Sammasambuddhas that our Sakyamuni Buddha saw in the past, he talked about one Kakusanda who was disturbed by Mara. And this Mara, when the Buddha Kakusanda went on alms round with his disciple, this Mara possessed somebody and came with a big rock and hit the disciple on the head until it was bloody all over. So the Buddha could not stand it. He turned around and stared at Mara, and Mara died there and there. So he's how do you say, he's well known because of that incident. So that Buddha Kakusanda is famous for that incident. So when they mention Kakusanda, then the Buddha mentions then he's in relation to Mara.
And it seems to me like the valid origination starts with ignorance and then begins activity.
Yeah.
Because I have previous thought that they start anywhere. But now it seems that you got to get it right. And then the other one is that your ignorance is the starting of all the mess and suffering.
Yes. Yeah, they have this similarity. That's why in my Dhamma talks I always like to stress on right view, because I've seen some people after practicing meditation seriously, some lay woman, 20 over years, and she changed her religion, gave up Buddhism. And then even some monks wearing the robe 40 years as a monk and teaching meditation, and some of his disciples thought that he already attained arahanthood. After 40 years of wearing the robe, he disrobed out of some weakness, and after disrobing he regretted. So right view is so important. Okay, shall we stop here?